My name is Leah Holin, and I'm responsible for this program in CSC, and I'll be your hostess for this afternoon. Joining me today are Lasse Frank, who is a current junior manager in our infrastructure business, and Peter Hecht, who is a current junior manager in our applications business. They will take you through the careers they've had in CSC so far, and they will also talk about the decisions they've made as well as why they chose to be part of CSC. Also joining us today are Peter Skov. He's the Sales Operations Lead in Nordic region. Jesper Rudolf, he's a Senior Manager, Nordic Infrastructure Program and Project Manager. And then Bo Svejstrup, who is the Regional General Manager for our Global Infrastructure Services. They will take you through each of their business areas and explain in depth what daily life can look like in their environment. Throughout our presentation, please use the chat window for any questions you might have, and we'll conduct a Q&A session right after we're through with our presentation. The agenda for today, or for the next 30 to 40 minutes, is to give you a brief overview of CSC as a company, our offerings, values, clients, and business units. And we'll spend the majority of the time with Lasse and Peter so that you get a chance to actually meet some of our employees and get a feeling of what it's like to work for a company like CSC. We really hope that you'll find this interesting and that you see this as an opportunity to apply to our program. So let's depart on that journey and go to the next slide of our presentation. As you may know, this is just CSC is a global powerhouse, and this is a quick overview to help you know more about us. We've been a leader in the IT industry for more than 50 years, actually 55 years, and we've been that through our client successes. That's been the benchmark of our business from the very beginning. And it's not for fun reasons that we actually use an astronaut as a cover picture here, because early on we actually built and delivered and actually supported projects such as the US space program. So NASA is one of our biggest and most influential clients that we have in CSC, hence the astronaut. Later on, we created some global time-sharing networks and pioneered the use of IT outsourcing for Fortune 500 businesses. Today, we've grown to become one of the largest and most respected IT service providers in the world. We have more than 80,000 employees, a revenue just above $13 billion. And we serve clients from every industry all over the globe. And as a company, we've evolved. What never changes is our commitment to our clients and to their successes. So what our mission is always to help the organizations we work with benefit from new technologies and innovative ideas. Having a look at the offerings that CSC goes to market with, we're scaling next generation infrastructure solutions and trying to bring greater value and innovation to our clients. We have over 80,000 highly skilled, very passionate people that has a very deep domain expertise. We are investing in creating more of our own innovative software and IP. We've established some offerings lifecycle management to build what we call proven leading edge repeatable solutions in the industries that we support. We also invest in our market leader platforms, which are cloud, cyber, and big data. We also are layering our expertise and IP to create differentiated offerings in order to shape and manage and transform businesses around the world. We partner with key players to bring end-to-end solutions. You can see them here represented by the logos, HCL, AT&T, Service Mesh, and the recent one we have is a partnership together with Amazon.com. All of this is, of course, powered by a great focus on what we call delivery excellence. We're trying to build global delivery networks, reporting systems to track and improve our account health. And we also have some new delivery networks for workplace platform, service management, and data centers. As you can see on this slide, CSC has a global scale and reach. We are present in more than 70 countries. We have delivery centers that provide delivery of our infrastructure and application offerings to clients, and they do develop software. We have data centers that contain servers and other equipment. And we have service centers that provide IT service management, which is help desk, and services to clients that includes BPO. So enough of all this technical, let's have a look at the values. Our values are clear. And as a global company, it's very important that we have values that each of us can relate to, and that we use them in our everyday life, and that we actually act on these values. These set of values, they actually help us as employees in having pride in our workplace, being motivated, working in a culture that strives for excellence, being at a great place to work, knowing what is expected of us, and actually caring about CSC. Now, taking a closer look at the Nordics, which is where this program actually originates and where the positions are located. We have colleagues in 4 countries, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, and Lithuania. And we've had a presence in this region since 1994. We have 14 offices across the region and are more than 2,600 employees. As you can see, the clients we serve across the region span from Telenor to Saab, but also the police and the tax authorities in Denmark and some of the major banks in Norway. So we actually have a lot of interesting clients, and we do a lot of interesting projects for these clients across the region. Looking at the Wall of Fame for our region, hopefully this will give you some facts and highlights of some of the major achievements we've had over the past couple of years. We have here in Denmark one of CSC's 7 cloud-enabled data centers. In Sweden, we were awarded the Guldnappen for being the most parental-friendly and gender equality workplace. CSC Baltic is actually quite an interesting story. We've had a presence there for the last 5 years, and we've grown from 0 to more than 300 employees in those 5 years. So this is just some fun facts about CSC that you may not have known about us. So let's turn to the more interesting part of this webinar. Let's see who you can meet, and let's start off with Lasse. And he's a junior manager, as I told you, in our infrastructure services. So go ahead, Lasse.
Thank you, Leah. Before I start talking about my role in CSC and what I do on a daily basis and why I at least think that you should consider CSC as a future employee, I just want to give you a brief introduction to my background and where I was coming from before joining CSC last year. Back in 2012, I graduated from Aarhus School of Business, where I first took a bachelor degree in Business Administration and Economy, after which I continued with the master degree focused on strategy, organization and leadership, with a small detour to a partner university in Portugal. During the majority of my time at ASB, I worked as well as a part-time business partner in Investors, where I mainly worked with performance reviews and other HR-related assignments. Contrary to most of my fellow junior managers, I did not join CSC right after university, right after ASB. I started working as an associate consultant doing recruitment-related work, and after a year as an associate consultant, I got the opportunity to move to Copenhagen and to join CSC, and I have now been here for 8 months now. And at the next slide, I will start talking about why I decided to join CSC. And I have divided the reasons why I decided to join CSC into 2 categories. The fundamental criteria that, at least for me, needs to be fulfilled in order for me to find the company attractive, something that applies to all companies in general, at least in my opinion. And the subjective criteria, which can be hard to actually evaluate before you have actually been working for the company for quite a while. But when it comes to the fundamental criteria, I wanted to work for a large company. As for me, at least, it meant hopefully a lot of different opportunities, roles, opportunities for new positions. And I figured that I could hopefully maneuver around the company trying to find the best position for me if I didn't get it right the first time. Additionally, I was looking for a company with a global reach, as I have an aspiration to go abroad at some point. And it's also an upside for me that the environment in which you work even though that I'm located in Denmark right now, still has an international aspect, and that is something that I find very exciting, and something I fully experience in my daily work at CSC, where I deal with people from all over the globe on a daily basis. When it comes to the more subjective criteria, they are more fluffy, and something that you can't really be certain of before you join, as I mentioned earlier. But at least I got the impression when I entered the assessment center that CSC was hosting last year as part of the Junior Manager introduction. And if you look at the slide, I would like to start off with the development and the training part. And that was something I expected from a Junior Manager program or graduate program, and something that has been fully fulfilled in my first 8 months at CSC at least. So far I have been ITIL certified, and I have been participating in various workshops and seminars, and most recently I took part in a seminar on big data. And I know that some of my colleagues have been on presentation courses, developing their skills doing presentations, and others have been Six Sigma certified, for example. And when it comes to the fact that it says on the slide that it's exciting times to join CSC, and it was also something that was emphasized when I was applying for the job last year. And it's very much connected to the bullet about influence and the ability to make an impact as well. Because CSC is right now in the middle of a transformation process, meaning that a lot of change are going on, and part of the change is, at least in our region, to bring in more young people to CSC and get their fresh ideas and their new perspectives into play as well. And that even when I'm saying it sounds like a bit of a cliche. But in my opinion, it's very true in CSC. And even though that you don't have 20 years or something like that of experience, people are still listening to you. They take your input seriously, as well as the ideas that you're bringing forward. And they are in fact taking them into consideration. So if you make a compelling enough case, it won't be discarded simply because that you don't have enough experience, at least. That is something I find really motivating. And just to give you this slide briefly goes through what I spent the majority of my time doing. As you can see, I work in business management, meaning that I work across all of our accounts, I work across our industries, and I also deal with a large portion of all of our services, at least. Currently, I spend a lot of time being involved in this transformation process that I just briefly mentioned, that are going on in CSC, as we're trying to bring in a lot of global leads to our region, talking about the new strategies, the new services, and trying to bridge the corporate strategies to how we're doing business in the Nordic region as well. And that is work that allows me to deal with almost all areas of our business, meaning I have to work with a lot of different stakeholders. And in that regard, I also get that international environment that I, at least, are looking for, because right now I'm working with our global transformation team as well. And when I don't spend my time being involved in the transformation work, I spend my time on various management reports that either needs to be improved or that needs to be delivered on a monthly or weekly basis. Reporting that also includes the financial aspect as well. So it deals with a lot of different things. All that combined with a bunch of more ad hoc assignments give me a pretty varied day, which I find very motivating, so I know that I'm not doing the same thing day in, day out. And lastly, I have put in a bullet about why you should join CSC, or why I think that you should aspire to actually be working at CSC. At least these are some of the bullets that I really value, and some of the reasons why I like to be at CSC. And the first thing is actually back to the part about influence and responsibility, because I expected to be given more and more responsibility as time went by, and I got more and more experience, and that is definitely also the case. But what I did not foresee, and what I am really grateful for, is the pace of which I'm getting more responsibility. So I would actually say that if you don't like to be challenged or maybe even pushed from time to time, CSC might not be the right place for you. But on the other hand, if that is something that you find motivating, I can't come up with a better company to apply for than CSC. And just briefly and finally, you all probably know all of the different motivational theories and the fact that one of the key ingredients in at least a few of them is that your work has to be meaningful. It has to have a purpose, and that is something that I believed it before when I just read the theories, but now that I'm actually working, it is something that I find very motivating when you can see that the work that you're actually doing has an impact in some way. And being part of CSC right now also means that there are a lot of changes that needs to either be made or be implemented, and a lot of things that can be improved. And all that means that if you actually are able to change some of these things, getting them right, it will actually have a large impact either for the company as a whole or a lot of people within the company, or maybe in terms of customer satisfaction or something like that. And I think it's actually quite easy to see how your work makes an impact for CSC, and that is, at least for me, very motivating.
So Lasse, thank you. What would you say has been the best experience you've had? I mean, you've been here for 8 months.
That if some of you have visited our Facebook page, you would see that I have mentioned that you hit the ground running in CSC, and it's actually a phrase that I really don't like because people seem to use it all the time. But in CSC, that is really the case. Just an example, I think that I had been here for maybe a month and a half when I was asked to do my first presentation for at least people with a lot more seniority and a lot more experience than me. So if you like that kind of challenges, which I do, this is the right place.
Thank you. And as Lasse mentioned, if you haven't been there, I would urge all of you to go to our CSC Talent Facebook page, where you can read a more in-depth interview with Lasse and also Peter, who's coming up next. Go to csc.com/Nordic, read about our career development, which we will also cover. And please keep your questions coming. Use the chat window below, and we will definitely have time to answer your questions. So turning over to Peter.
Thank you, Leah. I will try to follow the same structure as Lasse just took you through. So let me start off with my own background. Just to do a little bit different, I will start with the last bullet point on my slide. Before I began my studies at Copenhagen Business School, I worked abroad for 4 years within the travel industry, where I got my first taste of how it is to work in international environments and together with people from different cultures and backgrounds. And I found myself very thriving in that positions. And I think this is also one of the reasons why I later on joined CSC, which I will come back to. But after being abroad for 4 years, I decided to move back to Copenhagen and began my bachelor studies in 2008. Which I then follow on with my master's also at CBS Copenhagen Business School. And on top of that, I also had a SEMS Master's in International Management, and trying to follow up on my international track during my studies. I also have taken 2 exchange semesters abroad. I was in the United States during my bachelor's, and in the fall of 2012, I was in Vienna, Austria, during my SEMS exchange semester. That's a little bit about my educational background, but my entrance to CSC was actually part of my studies as well. I wrote my master thesis for CSC about knowledge management strategy. As Lasse mentioned, CSC currently is in a very interesting time. As the company is an ongoing global change process. So I was analyzing how this process affects the knowledge management we have on a daily basis, which was very giving and an exciting project to write, also very complex. But that eventually became my entrance into CSC as a company, as I got news about this graduate program that we're also trying to present for you today. So why did I join CSC? Well, first of all, due to my international experience, I was looking for a company with a global profile, just as Lasse, and I could imagine that many of you as well have aspirations to either work in an international environment or maybe on perspective, longer term perspective, also work abroad. I also do myself have ambitions to work abroad in the future, and hence CSC was an obvious choice in this aspect. I think we have operations in more than 70 countries around the world. And then coming back to these exciting times, CSC introduced in 2012 a new global business strategy and operating model, which means it actually alters the company, taking us into a new leading position worldwide. And that means a lot of changes and transformation is going on in CSC right now. And that was actually one of the key reasons for why I chose CSC. Because if you compare CSC with other major companies who also have graduate programs, they are in a more stable position, which means that you are more following a firm track. In CSC, it's a little bit more flexible, if you can say so. But it also means that you can affect your own path in CSC. You can be part of the change progress and improve it. And I found that very given. I would actually say that's one of the key reasons for why I chose CSC. But also, and I think Lasse mentioned as well, the focus on develop and excel. I think this is the key fact for me in my first job. That is that I can be challenged and I can develop as a person by being provided professional tasks or through training and education. And I really feel that CSC have a lot to offer here. I think Lea will also talk a little bit about it, but I think it's actually quite cool that CSC has their own university, which offers a lot of training and education. And just as Lasse, I was also ITIL certified here back in January, which is a global better practice in order to have IT service management process, which is very good. Yeah, and then of course the IT industry, a lot of complex challenges, and for sure the IT industry offer that as well. So my working day, in difference to Lasse, I work within delivery management on one of our major public accounts, which is a quite fairly new account, which means that one of the key things that I'm working on is optimization of our daily processes. So this means I'm quite close to operations. And therefore, I'm also have a lot of client contacts, a lot of meetings where we negotiate and debate about our contract, optimizing our daily collaboration. And here you have this fantastic work, the ITIL implementation, trying to enhance the processes that we have, both internally in our team, but also together with our client. And that is for sure a very, very challenging task. Then I'm also responsible to make our reporting to the clients. So we have KPIs that we report on every month, which basically is a sum up of how we have performed according to the contracts. I also work on some project management related that I work across accounts in trying to optimize our ITIL processes across. And that's also with the purpose in order to enhance the daily operations that we have within CSC. And because you can say that I have chosen to specialize a little bit towards the ITIL foundation work, then I'm also hosting workshops internally in CSC within my team, where we talk through how these processes should work, trying to implement them and make sure that they will work on a daily basis. And that is, of course, also based on the conversations and negotiations that we have with the client. So you can say I'm trying to bridge the perception of our client and of our team in order to make sure that we all look at the same picture and from there move on towards the success. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Peter. That was very enlightening. So I'm going to ask you a question as well. So what struck you as being the biggest difference from going from a master thesis student, writing a master thesis, and now being a full-time employee? What's the biggest difference in CSC?
it's not as structured as writing a thesis.
No.
I mean, you don't have a day that looks the one you had before. Always new things coming up. And maybe also, I don't know if it's a surprise, but one of the things you must be aware of is that the day you begin, you can take and put your theory books a little bit to the side and be ready to act in real time, if you can say so. I think that's one of the major challenges.
So actually you rolled up your sleeves on day one, started working.
The first day I started, my manager told me on, I think that was on Tuesday, on Monday you have to deliver the first report to the client.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Peter.
Thank
now, turning to another Peter.
Yes.
This is Peter Skov, and he's going to talk about sales management and what's it like to actually work for sales in CSC. Take it away, Peter.
Well, thank you, Leah. Well, I think it's important to mention that we have a quite structured sales process here in CSC, and that helps us manage the type of complex sales that we do in our company. It has various stages and gates that we go through, and well, the phases basically take us from market development, identifying a potential sale in the market, and then you bring it all the way to over the development of an offering or service to a client, to actually closing and signing a deal. And we work as a Nordic team, so you will be involved should you join us in the whole process, identifying a lead, solution development, and then closing a deal together with the rest of your bid team. And one of the things I think is important is that these deals are normally, well, this is not used cars we are selling here. These are very complex things that we sell. They are very big. They are multi-million dollars. They are complex with a lot of different parts in them. And they have a very, very concentrated business focus for our clients. So one of the things you should be aware of is that you need to have a deep business understanding when you work here. It's not enough just to know a lot about bits and bytes and hardware and software and so on. You need to be able to sort of translate that into competitive advantages for our clients. And this is one of the things that we spend a lot of time on, actually thinking about our clients' businesses and our clients' customers. What are they looking for, and how can we help bring them that improved competitive position? So I think we have a very, very challenging job here on the table, where you will be able to learn all the different stages that an advanced sales process actually goes through.
And given the fact that the majority of people listening in today are students, I'm sure that the business understanding is something that we'll give them once they join, right? Or what are you expecting from candidates applying?
Well, an ideal client candidate would have a business understanding as well as a computer or technical understanding. So being able to bridge those things. And then, of course, you will not be thrown into the deep water all alone from day one. You will, of course, be sort of, on the side learning. So you will be following experienced people and then slowly being able to take over more and more sales yourself. So bridging the technology and the business is really, really important.
Well, thank you, Peter. Thank you for that overview. Please keep your questions coming. Once you hear all these genius speakers talking about daily life in CSC, we'll get to them in just a second. Let's turn to not something that's completely different, but still another ball game. Let's turn to project management in CSC, which actually happens after we've done the sales. It's how we deliver on projects. Let's turn over to Jesper Rudolph.
Thank you, Leah. Yes, I'm delighted that I'm actually squeezed in between the delivery part, which is coming after, and the sales part, which is in front of us. We already have heard about. So actually, this is what project management are about. That's actually getting and bridge together both what we have sold into what is actually going to be delivered for the next coming years. So that's why. So please turn into the slide. So project management as we call PNPM, as its program and product management we are running in this area, is actually dealing with bids as well. So we are taking the view on the bids and the sales process from a project management point of view. We also do that in the case that we actually are going to deliver it. So we actually are going to be managing the project afterwards, and actually those parts are doing the budget and doing the time schedule for that and planning all the different parts of it. We might not be technical, but if we have a technical understanding in those topics we are running, as we are running quite different kinds of projects in all of our deliveries. So we actually, and all other parts of the company will also do so. So there'll be a lot of different things we are into as a project managers, and all of those which actually will be that you're in touch with a lot of people in our company. So even we might not have a project which are running in Copenhagen or in other parts of Nordic, we might be in daily contact with other people around the globe. So that could be a case that we actually have a project running all over the globe. And like Peter said, we will not do this, and you will not be added into just being project manager from the beginning. This will be a startup with being work along with another senior project manager, and then we'll continue and actually move you into a more project manager, senior project manager role on the run. So that's how it will work.
Cool. And could you say something about just, what kind of, I know that we have the CSC University, the training that they can actually acquire as project managers. I know we have certifications pathways and stuff like that.
We wouldn't start the first part of certification part as one of our criteria for having doing that would actually be that you actually have some kind of hands-on before you actually do that. So we'll have a full package of courses, including what is actually into our most developed tool, which is called Catalyst, which is our framework of doing project management. So there will be a full program for having a education in project management, how CSC looks into it. It will be both in the way of using our tools, but also in the way we actually expect us to behave.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jesper. Now we've sold something to the client. Now we've made the plan, so let's turn over to delivery. Let's go to Bo, who could talk about delivery and business management.
Yeah, thank you, Leon. So we sell, and then we deliver. This is what we are here for, and I'm going to talk to you about two different areas where we have positions in, and it is what we call account delivery management, and another role which is within strategy and business management. So both roles are vital for our company, and if we look at delivery management to begin with, that is our in our business unit. This is a very central role within delivery, because this is the person who fronts all our clients and basically are responsible for all. For everything we do, so to speak, with the client after, of course, we sold the contract. So you act as a single point of contact for the customer, and within DIS, and in total within our business unit, we are around 1,500 people. So this is the combined group of delivery execs who are responsible for those people at the account level. So your responsibilities cover customer satisfaction, as I said, all deliverables to our client. It also covers our financials. So that means that, of course, we also would like to earn some money from the work we do. So you are in charge of actually ensuring that we are following our business case. As a delivery exec, you work in a quite international team. So our delivery organization is a true global organization, meaning that you will have teams where you have managers sitting all over the world and in almost all continents. So it's a quite interesting task, managing those teams, and you will be daily almost in contact with several different countries. So you are also in this role. You're also supporting sales, and you are also responsible for actually supporting the innovation that we deliver to our clients. We have positions in Denmark, Sweden, and Norway for this one. As Jesper also said, this is of course a program where you will not be put in full responsibility to begin with, but you are going through a structured trainee program which covers 24 months, being built up to take over the role. If you then move on and look at our strategic and business management function, it is within the same program of 24 months, but the reason for having this function within GIS and our business unit is that we are facing a very challenging market. We are in constant pressure to renew ourselves, to improve our prices, to develop new products, as you see in a lot of other businesses. But that just pinpoints the importance of having an organization which is accountable for addressing exactly that. And that's this role, what is this supposed to do. So you are working with our business manager function and the GIS executive team to address the market situation, and basically it's a big influencer role where you will be assessing our so to speak short-term, medium-term, and long-term strategic goals, 3, 6, 18 months goals for the company, the product-wise, financial-wise, people-wise, basically around the business. So again, in this role, it is a very international team. You will have to work together with basically all sections of the company, and again being in contact with teams and execs all around the world. In this role, we have positions in Denmark and Sweden.
Thank you both. So what do you think should be, these are two different roles, I know, but what should be sort of like the key thing that they should put in their applications to be eligible for just that part of the program?
So I think it's important in both roles that you have a very analytical mindset. You are able to understand complex problems very fast, structure them, break them down, and turn them into something that is actionable. So basically, you are so to speak, in order to use an old term, the chaos pilot here. Making structure out of the chaos, right? So it's a very interesting role. It's also a very challenging role, and it's a little bit back to Lasse's comments about wanting a position, a job where it can sometimes be hard to predict what comes tomorrow, right?
Good. Well, thank you. Now you've heard some very interesting stories about daily life in CSC, the positions, the candidates, and what we're looking for. So let's just turn into looking at the Junior Manager Program, besides what Bo has already talked about. What are we looking for? Definitely candidates that have completed their college or university degree. We also would like your track record to include relevant work experience. It can either be during your master and bachelor's that you've had to work in another company, but it's very, very important that you actually know how it is to work in organizations like CSC, perhaps not a global company, but at least if you've been out there. What we also require is what we call an entrepreneurial mindset, because that's where innovation comes from. So if we are here to innovate our customer solutions, we definitely also need an entrepreneurial mindset. Leadership potential is almost given since this is a junior manager position. A sense of responsibility. I'm sure that from the stories you've heard from Lasse and Peter that you are being thrown out of it as of day one. So you definitely need to know how to work independently, take responsibility, have initiative, a high level of commitment, and also team spirit and social skills. Another thing that's not mentioned here is that cultural awareness is very important. You can be put into teams where you have to interact with people from 5 different countries. So you also need to have an awareness of how culture interact with each other, how to greet people from India, people from the US, from the UK. So that's something that we also think is important. And that's why we also are really happy to see that the majority of people applying here has actually spent some time abroad during their studies, which is something that's a very good competence going forward. Now, I know Bo touched on it as well. What the program will look like, but you will complete a 24-month program. There will be a career path lead who will map out your program together with you. What I think is important is that there is a plan, but it's not set in stone, so we're flexible. Definitely important that you can influence it yourself. Depending on your qualifications, you'll complete 4 to 6 project assignments within the business unit that you will be employed to. And you'll gain insights into subject matter areas. You'll take on responsibility from day one. And also there'll be some individual guiding, some training, but also mentoring actually to measure whether or not we meet your needs, but also CSC needs going forward. So what does the timeline look like? Yes, you apply either via CSC Talent, our Facebook page, or csc.com/Nordic, where you have a button that calls apply here. So you should do that May 19th. That's the application deadline. What you should also be aware of is that on the 12th of June, we are hosting an assessment center, and that's in Copenhagen, in our main offices here in the region in Valby. And then on the 13th, we'll have a second interview with those candidates that actually made it through the assessment center, and those will be the candidates that are flying in from abroad. And on the 16th and 17th of June, we'll have second interviews with the local the people coming from Denmark who are close to the offices. In June, we will send you a contract, and then in July, we would very much like those contracts back from you, signed and in perfect order, so that everything can be ready for when you start the program, which is October 1st. So, what's important to highlight in your application? Definitely, why CSC? Why do you think we're so amazing? Because definitely we think we're amazing, but why do you think CSC is amazing? What can you offer CSC? And why did this position actually, why did you actually apply for this position? And why should we choose you? So these are just some tips and tricks for you to actually tailor your application so that you actually become the one that we choose to invite to our assessment centers. Lastly, before we turn to your questions, I just want to touch about career development in CSC. All the participants here has talked about it, but in CSC we have developed a framework through what you can see in the upper left-hand corner, a career map. We think that it's very important that our employees actually reflect and explore the opportunities that are present for them, and they actually assess their skills. I mean, what competencies do they have? And these 3 steps they do have to take before we can actually start having a dialogue about career development. What we have underpinning this career map is what you can see on the right-hand side. We actually have a global career coach network, and you can actually engage with these people either virtually if they're in a different country or face-to-face if they're close to where you are. So what a career coach would do is actually ask you to go through the first 3 steps before we can sit down and have a dialogue on, okay, so how do we interpret your skills? How do you actually prepare to go on your next job? And then how do you realize it? As Peter mentioned, we also have our own university, CSC University, where we have underpinned there, we have colleges. We have a college within leadership, a college within sales. We have a college within project and program delivery. So there is really more than 35,000 assets in our university that can actually bring you forward and develop you as you go along in your career in CSC. Last but not least, the last one talks about career pathways. I mean, you can take a job with greater or lesser responsibility. That's up to you. Again, we want you to reflect. We want you to take ownership of your own career in CSC. You could also follow the suggested career stream pathway. There are many ways of you to actually tune your career into what you want in CSC. So hopefully this gave you a good idea of what's it like to be in CSC, and we're ready to take your questions now. Okay, first question, what is the recruitment process like? How many stages are there? How long do they take? I think we answered that on one of the slides, but what will happen is as soon as you apply, you will be screened by our recruiters, and during that screening process, they will actually figure out whether or not you match the criteria, the personality, what we're looking for, the mindset. Then on the 12th of June, that's a one-day assessment center where you will meet others that are also applying for positions in CSC. And then hopefully by the 17th of June, the second interviews will be through. Contract sent end June, and you'll begin October 1st. So this is a fairly short recruitment process. So hopefully that answered that question. Peter, what has been the most challenging part of this job so far? That will be Peter Hecht.
Yeah. Well, one thing is for sure, I think, is the client contact. I think that you really need to have a good communication skill set in order to navigate that between what is the client's perception of the delivery that you have, and then also what you can say on exactly what is the perception internally in CSC. So I think I see myself as a facilitator and communicator between the delivery organization behind me and then with the client. I have been sent out alone to meetings with the client, which I find very, very challenging, but also giving. And I think it's also reflect what Lasse has said, that you are, as a junior manager, provided with a lot of responsibility and go out to be a representative for CSC. I think that's one of the great things. So especially, I would say the client contact has been the main challenge for me.
Thank you, Peter. Another one, and this is for Lasse. It sounds exciting. You mentioned that you hope to leverage this program to explore the company and ultimately find the position just right for you. And this made this person wonder, when choosing one of the 4 tracks up front, what implications will that have in terms of specialization from there on? Is there a rotational dimension to the program?
I don't know if that's a specific question for me, but I can give you my view on it. At least after 2 years, you will have seen quite a lot of the company, and you will hopefully have an idea, or I will hopefully have an idea where I really want to make my impact. And after that, you have the chance to work with HR, work with your daily manager, work with your program manager to actually push you in the direction that you actually would like to go.
And as one of the slides stated, there will be 4 to 6 rotations, but will be different project assignments. So yes, it's definitely also something that's up to you as a candidate, where you want to go and how times are changing in CSC. Another one, is it a disadvantage if the applicant does not speak any of the Scandinavian languages? I would say it's not a disadvantage because the majority of people here speak English fluently. I mean, we have in this program, the last one, we have people from Poland, Ukraine, and Lithuania. They may understand Danish, but it's okay to speak English, so it's not a disadvantage that you don't know the languages. Yes, the CSC University. Is it only for employees at CSC? Yes, that's why we call it CSC University. Do some of the concentrations require more detailed and in-depth IT knowledge than other?
Well, I think we are a junior manager program, so it's not required that you have an IT expert skill set in your bag with you as well. Personally, I do not have, but I have a firm interest in IT. But that doesn't make me a specialist or an expert at all. But if you have an interest in how IT works, then you will definitely learn when you start here. again, taking from my own daily work, what we deliver to the client is SAP solutions. And I knew absolutely nothing about SAP when I began here at CSC, but I have acquired some knowledge. So you can say that's also one of the benefits that you will have by starting here. So no, I will not say it's a requirement you're an IT expert.
Thank you. Another one, what is the major difference between the delivery and business management program? Who does the program best fit? What kind of types? I think I'll turn that over to Bo. The major difference between the delivery and the business management.
Yeah, so of course, being in delivery, you are directly responsible for the clients, right? And being in the strategy, it's more like a long-term role where you're looking a little bit more ahead and you are a little bit more above water, so to speak. But again, as I'm in the strategy business management role, you would also be in some task, and Lasse can talk to this at a very detailed level and a very operational level, but across a lot of clients. So I think that's probably the biggest difference.
Yeah.
I would like to pitch in on that one because, as you heard before, I'm working in business management and I have colleagues working in the delivery part of it. And one of the major differences and something that is, at least in my opinion, quite easy to understand is that if you work in the delivery, you will normally be working with one client. So you will have that to work with at all times, trying to improve that, trying to make the best for that specific client. Whereas in business management, you work with all of your clients. Mm-hmm. So you will not have that in-depth understanding of each and every client. Whereas in delivery management, you will probably get a deeper understanding of that specific client.
Another one is talking about if the interviews occur in Denmark. Let me be more specific. The assessment center is a one-day thing on the 12th. If you get invited to that, you will get notified that evening whether or not you're going through to the second interview, which will be held on the 13th, also in Copenhagen. And for those of you who are traveling in, you will be invited for the 13th, and the others who are close to Copenhagen will be invited the following week. Is it possible to work in different locations all over the world throughout the program? That's a very interesting question. I would say from all over the world, perhaps not. In the Nordics, that's even more feasible, I would think. But for the majority of these positions, you will be based in either Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, and get some information, get some knowledge there before you transfer to the world.
But this, and I'd like to pitch in on that one, it is important to say that CSC is operating as a Nordic company here in the region, so you will most likely be working in the different Nordic countries during your 2 years of training program.
Another personal thing, to what extent do the junior managers interact and share knowledge and experiences? So now we're looking at Lasse and Peter.
Yeah, I can give my view on that. It of course depends on what you prefer, because basically this is something that you have to do on your own initiative. But from my view, you actually do it quite often. For example, Peter and I has this Facebook initiative where we're driving that, so we spend quite a lot of time together, and that way we'll always tell each other about new ideas and what we're dealing with, seek advice from one another, and so goes with all of the other junior managers. Some you're working with more and others not so much. It's not a structured process per se, but you have a lot of interaction with your fellow junior managers.
I mean, besides the professional point of view, we are also meeting from time to time on a social aspect, going out to have a drink or two. So you can some way also call that knowledge sharing, I guess.
Yes, and from a company perspective, we try and we aim to actually host a meeting once every quarter, where they get a chance to network and get to know the business. The last thing we did was Big Data Factor, which was like an X Factor competition about big data. Previously, it has been about what service offerings do we have in CSC, what kind of technology are we looking for going forward. So at least once every quarter, we try to get the team together to interact and knowledge share. Another important aspect is that our CEO in the region, General Manager in the region, John Walsh, tries to actually host a lunch with all present and former graduates and junior managers, where they have a lunch and he then shares his knowledge. So we try to do what we can to actually get them to share knowledge. But again, they are also very extremely busy and they are in a structured program. So we try to interfere as little as possible in those programs as we can. Aside from business knowledge mentioned, what specific technical knowledge are you looking for in successful candidates? That should be sales, program management. Any technical knowledge needed?
From a project management, you needed to have a specific or any knowledge regarding any of the technical things, but of course on the run you'll pick up some of it, and we will encourage you to know something about it. But you wouldn't be as deep as Peter said. He knew and had some interest for IT, but he wasn't an expert, and you will never be an expert in IT when you're project management. We'll train you and do the best to get you to a full professional CSC project manager. So that's what we are aiming for in project management.
Yeah, and I would rather say we actually look for the right mindset, the right personality, and then we'll build on the technical expertise that you need. Question to sales?
So I think I just want to pitch in on that one and say so CSC is an IT company, and we do have deep technical experts in the company. But the positions that we're looking for here, it's in the title, right? It's trainee management, junior management, right? So we are looking for future managers, future leaders. So obviously we are looking for people with the profile of a leader, and technical expertise is definitely not a downside, but it's not a requirement at all. And what both Peter and Jesper said now, and Leah, the interest, that's the important thing, right? The curiosity of the willingness of wanting to find out new things. That's important in this role, and understanding the business that we're in.
And may I just say, I mean, I'm encountering this every day in my daily work, having issues about, and the network was making troubles or something like that, and many times I don't understand, but it is fair enough to ask the question one more time, to have elaborated one more time. And I think that's also one of the good things here, that people are very open to help you. When you just look like one big question mark when they're providing you the what is called the explanation for it. So
one specifically for sales management, is the team divided down to industries or solution, and how is the sales team built up?
I think it's an excellent question. Within our offering sales, i.e. within our global infrastructure services, we are not specifically split into industries, but on the other hand, if you have a flair, expertise, or in other ways are very good within one or two industries, we will assign accounts or potential accounts for you to pursue. So the way we work today, it's not industry split, although we are aware when we assign the areas within where to work, that we try to assign them where you are good or have experience.
Good, Peter. Thank you. Another question is, how many hours do you work? I think the standard contract that you will be given is 37 hours. But if it's in Sweden and Norway, it might differ.
In Sweden it would be 14 hours, which are the normal. So it's a normal set of hours which fits into each of the countries.
Yes. Somebody was asking about the financial service. We talked about the banking industry. I don't know if anybody here can actually give a short overview of financial services, one of our industries, who we work with, the clients.
Yeah, so financial services is split up into what we call insurance and banking. Banking and capital markets, roughly speaking, and we are working with some of the larger clients in the Nordic region. So I can mention a few. We are working with Codan, we are working with the Norske Bank, DNB, as two good examples. That those are we are in that industry. We are primarily going after the big players in the region, and in this region we have some quite sizable players actually. So it's a very interesting industry for us, and an industry that we are actually investing quite a lot in.
Oh, let me also explain that actually we are on a global scale known as being one of the leaders within insurance especially.
Yeah.
So that is of course one of the areas we also want to leverage here in the Nordics.
Especially in Asia, a lot of companies are using our products, our software products. So yes, good point.
Yeah, great. There are so many questions ticking in, and we're so happy about your engagement. And should we not answer your questions in this session, rest assured we'll definitely type them down and give you an answer afterwards. Another one talks about culture. As a project manager, one will be dealing with a ton of internal stakeholders. So could you elaborate upon how willing fellow employees from the big organization are collaborate and help out beyond responsibilities and obligations?
That's a quite huge question, but the short answer would say that yes, we have a different culture, and we have a lot of people coming in for different cultures, and I believe that we are trying to of course different cultures makes differences between how we make the different things, but as I see it, we have a lot of things where people are trying to help out and doing the best. And most of the times we are succeeding in that and succeeding in even having different cultures, even different time zones we are working across. So that's actually different, not different from other places. You need to be aware that we have a lot of different cultures here.
I would actually say that CSC is now a very global organization, and it's almost something that you don't think about in daily life. So you just pick up the phone, you talk to somebody from India or from China or from America. It really doesn't matter. So we are working against the same methodology and the same values. So it's more like one company.
It is one company, I would say. We are, even if I might be as nitty-gritty around this, saying that we actually are a global company based on we are global PMs around the world. We might not have a day-to-day meeting with each of our colleagues, as we are more than 2,000 product managers, but we at least have a community which is internal in our websites. Mm-hmm. So we actually, if you are participating in those discussions, you would get tons of answers from that, and you would get answers from places around the world you didn't knew were there, and you didn't knew we had actually sites in. So even saying we are in 70 countries, we are in hundreds of places around the world. When we look into the different countries, we might be in different areas in the countries. So you'll see that you'll be able to actually get just ask a question on our internal websites and get the answer from all around the world.
And another one talks about, I mean, the social aspect of this, the social dimension and the camaraderie in the organization. I mean, we are all connected through an intranet called C3, which is Collaborate, Communicate, and Connect. So there's a huge networking possibilities here, and networking is actually one of the buzzwords or keywords in CSC. You have to be able to network, you have to have networking capabilities. Other than that, we have a lot of social clubs. I mean, we have people who play football or tennis, or they do cycling. We do go-karts and stuff like that. We have a Friday bar. And also the junior managers that are here presently, also as Peter mentioned, they go out for a beer once in a while and have do something outside the work. So it's not work all the time. There's also a place to actually have a life. So there's a question to the sales program. How does my responsibility develop during that program?
That really depends on how good you are. If you show very fast leadership, you will also very fast be getting more and more free reign to do the tasks needed. So that really depends on how good you are. But we have all in our team been young salespeople, so we know what worked when we were being trained, and we will be very aware that it's always fun to be able to do stuff alone and on your own. So we are good at giving you challenges.
There are questions about how many are you looking for? Well, we're not going to reveal the number, but we are only taking the best. So don't be shy. Please apply. We are willing to look at any candidate. Some of you are asking, can I apply for 2 positions? Well, that may not be, you may not look as if you're very targeted and driven if you have 2 positions. Use the best one, and if you're a top talent, then definitely we'll take you in. Something about age. How old are you? Well, I mean, the average age in Denmark and Norway and Sweden for CSC is actually quite high, which is why we're looking for young and bright and intelligent students like you guys. It's 49, but if you just look at Lithuania, it's 29. So we're gradually getting there to actually rejuvenate our workforce, and that's why programs like this is very important to CSC. Any more questions?
But I would actually say, at least as a product manager, you would be able to manage people which are quite much older than yourself. So quite fast you'll end up in a position as a leader or a manager for in a project for people which might look like your old family back home, but actually it is your colleagues instead of those you normally fight with at home. So you need to treat them as fully professional people, as we have a professional attitude to everything we are doing. So that's important, and I believe, as Lasse said, he was actually asked to perform a presentation quite early in his career here for people which were much older than most senior than he was. So that would be the same for most of you. You had an experience of that quite soon.
And I will always say, I would say, even though you will have a mentor here at CSC, we also believe in what we call reverse mentoring. We actually think we can learn a lot from you guys. One example is that our Facebook page is actually now administered by junior managers because they understand the segment, they understand you, they understand what's important. So rather than having somebody like me who's not that generation, we thought it was an obvious good idea to actually have them use time on that. Another example is we took one of our other graduates. You can read his profile on CSC Talent, Nils, who's from Sweden, and we put him in one of the oldest projects in CSC ever, tax. And 2 or 3 or 4 years ago, that would not have been a possibility. First of all, he's Swedish, he's young. But as he had actually a very challenging time there with the account, and they are so happy that he's there. He's really put a lot of value into that team also going forward. So yes, we have 4 generations in the workplace, and we would like to have 5. So bring in your applications. Okay, we're a bit over time. Thank you so much for your engagement here, your thrilling questions. Please remember May 19th. That's the one date you should remember to apply, and we really look forward to receiving your applications. Thank you and goodbye.